Hello and welcome to this step-by-step guide on how to apply for the 2022 application call by Ignite Culture, an ACP-EU Culture Programme for Eastern Africa. My name is Maz Masai and I'll be guiding you through this application process. It will take you approximately 60 to 90 minutes to fill in this application form. Prior to filling in this form, you should factor in some time for prepping your application. This includes ideation, gathering documents, and so on. In this video, I will explain and guide you through the 6 main stages of our application form, namely the eligibility checker, the welcome section, capturing your contact information, finding out more about your organization, finding out more about your needs, and uploading your supporting documents. When you click on the link provided on the British Council or the HEVA website, it will take you to this page, which is on Submittable. If you do not have an account, you have the option to create a submittable account by clicking this button. And if you do have an account, you have the option of selecting this I have an account, and this allows you to sign in. The information that we have provided for you on this page tells you about the different sections that you have to interact with as you go through the form. And it also tells you what some of the document requirements we have for your organization so that you're successfully able to complete your application form. Just to mention, some of the documents that you will need to upload for your application will be a company profile document and a project budget. The templates for these two documents have been provided on the landing page, and you can access them by clicking this link. The link provided will take you to this Dropbox folder, which has these two templates, namely the 2022 Ignite Culture Company Profile template and the 2022 Ignite Culture Project Budget template. Please make sure you have strict adherence to the use of these documents, and the use of any other documents to demonstrate your project budget or your company profile will be considered ineligible and your application will be disqualified. Other than the company profile and the project budget, you will also be required to upload audited financial statements for any full or half-year period between 1st January 2017 and 31st December 2018. These ones will be generated by your company or your organization, and we advise you to liaise with your company accountant or an accounting consultant to generate these documents. Once you have all the necessary upload templates, you are now in a good position to begin your application. But before you do, we advise you to read the fund guidelines here by clicking this link. This will allow you to see who is eligible, how you're eligible, and what sectors are eligible for funding as well. Please do not continue with your application process without having thoroughly engaged with the fund guidelines provided via this link. Of course, now you either select to create your account or you select I have an account and I will sign in. For the purposes of this demonstration, I have an account, so this is what I will click. Once you get to this page, of course, enter your email address as well as your password and click the sign in button. And it will give you access to the same page, but with the addition of the eligibility checker, which we will go through in a minute. Now we will cover the eligibility checker of our application form. After you read the introduction on the funding page, you will see the section called Information Collection and Storage. Please make sure you read through this section, and once you have read and understood what we will be doing with your data and how we'll be using your data once you apply, if you are in agreement with the terms we've stipulated, please check the 2 checkboxes. I agree to these terms as an applicant, and check the second checkbox. I agree to the collection of my personal identifiable details. And then we'll be in a position to go into the eligibility checker. The eligibility checker is a section of yes/no questions designed to check if your organization is eligible to apply for Ignite Culture funding. If you are to select no as an answer to any of the questions provided in this section, it means that your organization is not eligible for funding and your application will not be considered further even when it comes in as a complete application. Some of the questions that are asked in the eligibility checker, and I'll answer them as we go through them. Was your organization registered on or before 1st January 2017? Any organization registered after 1st January 2017 is unfortunately not eligible for funding under this round of Ignite Culture. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I will click yes. Is your organization registered in any of these countries? The countries are listed below in the description, and they are Burundi, Comoros Island, Djibouti, Eritrea, Kenya, Madagascar, Mauritius, Rwanda, Seychelles, Somalia, Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda. For a more comprehensive breakdown on the countries that are eligible, please click this link that takes you to the fund guidelines, which outlines the countries that are eligible for funding, as well as the programs and types of registration that are supported by Ignite Culture. Your project has to be implemented in one or more of the 14 ACP East Africa supported countries provided in the list below. For you to gain access to our exclusion list to see which activities are not supported, please click this link here and you will be taken to our exclusion list. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I will assume that I have interacted with the exclusion list provided. Are the core activities of your organization in cultural and creative industries? My answer would be yes. For a better understanding of what we define as cultural and creative industries, you can read the list provided in the description of the question below. If not, again, we ask that you please refer to the fund guidelines provided via this link so that you're able to familiarize yourself with the sectors that are eligible for support under this grant facility. Has your organization managed a project worth at least 50% of the amount of funding you wish to apply for? For the purposes of this demonstration, my answer is yes. Do you have audited financial records for any period, half or full year, between 1st January 2017 and 31st December 2018? Yes. And lastly, have you watched our How to Apply videos and interacted with other application supporting materials provided? Yes. Again, it's important to note that if you answered no for any of the questions in the eligibility checker, it means that your organization is not eligible for funding. And unfortunately, even if you continue the application process, you will not be considered for funding once your application is submitted. Now we will move into the first section of the application form. Once you've completed the eligibility checker, you will then gain access to the first section of the form. And in this section, the top things for you and your organization to demonstrate is where you have been registered, how long you have been registered for, what your business is registered as, what your main industry of focus is, and how you heard about us. I will be doing a dummy application using a dummy organization called Mars Productions. So the first question allows me to select my country of registration for my business, which is Kenya. For project implementation, my project will be implemented in Kenya, Madagascar, Mauritius, and Seychelles. On the question of how many years my organization has been in operation, for the purposes of this demonstration, I'll put in 10 years. And on the question of what my organization is registered as, I am a registered private company, and my organization was registered before 2017. Do I have audited financial statements for any full or half year period between 1st January 2017 and 31st December 2018? The answer is yes. My main industry of focus is audiovisual and interactive media. We'd also like to know if your organization is engaged in any other sectors in cultural and creative practice. And I believe my organization is also involved in cultural infrastructure. And lastly, we have the question, how did you hear about the ACP-EU Culture Programme for Eastern Africa? And I had it through Facebook, as well as HEVA's website and British Council's website. If you had it from any other sources, it is important for you to check other, and we've provided a space for you to demonstrate or rather to answer what the other areas or other sources of information around Ignite Culture have been. For these purposes, I'll say my former university professor. And if in this section you have demonstrated where you have been registered, how long you've been registered, what type of business your company, if you've also demonstrated what type of registration your business has, as well as your main industry of focus, and how you heard about the form, then you have successfully completed the first section. And we can move to the next section of the application form, which captures your contact information. The contact information section aims to capture the contact details of your organization. We'll ask what your organization is called, what your physical address is, who is the primary contact person for your organization. We'll also ask you to provide a telephone number for your organization, as well as provide an email address where we can reach you. We will also ask if you have a website, and if you click yes, we will ask you to provide the website here. We will also ask if your organization has any social media presence, and if you click yes, we will allow you to enter the relevant social media links to your social media pages. It is very important to include the links to your social media pages if you have a social media presence, because it helps us in the evaluation process to gain a better understanding of your organization, its projects, and the beneficiaries as well. We also ask you to provide any other links to any social media profiles which we may have not listed in this list above, which asks for your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok pages. And lastly, this section asks if you're applying for this grant as an individual organization or as a group of organizations. If you click as a group of organizations, perhaps if you're in a consortium and you are the lead applicant together with other applicants, this is the option for you. And once you do that, you'll be provided with tables that seek to gather or collect the same information that you uploaded above, but now for your partner organizations. It is very important that you do not repeat the information of your company in this table, and only use this table if you have other applicant organizations who you are working with. So for instance, if you are collaborating with, let's say, 3 companies or 3 organizations, then you would use the first row for one organization, where you'd give the name of the organization, their contact person for this project, their telephone number, as well as their social media pages. A link to their social media pages in this box is provided. And then you would do a similar thing for the second company and the third company as well. In this section, if you have demonstrated the contact details of your organization, your social media pages, as well as the contact details and social media pages of your partner organizations, in the event that you are applying as a group of organizations, then you have successfully completed this section and are ready to proceed to the next section. The next section is called Finding Out More About Your Organization, and here we aim to get a better sense of your HR and organizational capacity. So some of the questions that we ask in this section is, how many full-time employees do you have? How many of your full-time employees are women? How many of your full-time employees are from marginalized groups? We have provided a description of what a full-time employee is and what we consider as full-time employment. And we have also provided a description of what marginalized people are and who we consider as marginalized people. Make sure you interact with these descriptions before you fill in the answers to these 2 questions. Further, we have provided this question, which allows you to pick the different marginalized groups that are represented in your organization. If you click other, there will be a checkbox or a text box that will be provided for you to explain what other marginalized groups are represented in your organization. Then we ask if your organization has any part-time employees, and we have provided a description of what part-time employment is. Again, please make sure you read this description before filling in the options provided. We also ask if your organization has any part-time employees, and we have provided a description of what we consider as part-time employment. If you click yes, There will be some additional questions for you to respond to. And these are: how many part-time employees does your organization have? How many of these part-time employees are women? And how many of your part-time employees are from marginalized groups? Again, we've provided the relevant descriptions. Make sure you interact with all the relevant descriptions before you select any options or any responses to the questions provided in this section. We also ask if your organization works with volunteers. If you click yes, we also have additional questions where we'll allow you to explain the nature of your engagement with these volunteers. So we ask, how many volunteers do you work with? And also we ask if your volunteers are paid, unpaid, or both. In this section, we also ask you to briefly describe your organization and its ongoing core activities. We have a limit of 250 words, and the description or the instruction here is to tell us who you are and what you do. Please make sure that you have strict adherence to the word count. Give as much information as you possibly can to help us and the program team to gain a better understanding of your organization. Particularly, make sure you demonstrate how your organization engages in the cultural and creative industry that you had selected earlier up in the form. We also ask you to demonstrate your geographical focus and target communities. Again, we have a limit of 250 words. And the instruction here is, in the recent past, who have you served and where? Provide a list of countries. Please make sure you have strict adherence to the instruction provided, and as much as possible, try and get to the maximum word count of 250 words. If not, please make sure that you clearly demonstrate and outline a response that accurately captures what is requested for in the instruction provided. Then we also ask, which of the following does your organization have in place? Manual accounting system, automated digital accounting systems, HR policy, environmental impact policy, and so on and so forth. Again, this question is not a disqualifier. The presence or absence of these documents will not be part of the initial evaluation and is to help us develop our support programs. So we just want to get a better understanding of the practices that your organization has in place on a day-to-day basis, and the ones that you may be struggling with, or the ones that you select can either be improved through additional skills training in our program, or we can provide training assistance for the ones that you do not have present in your organization. And lastly, the last question in this section, if you are applying as a group of organizations, you are required to fill in the above information for all partner organizations. So if you click this option, yes, allow me to fill in this requested information for partners, you'll be provided with several tables and several questions that seek to gain the same information you provided for your company in this section, but now for your partner organizations. So we will use a similar approach as the last section, where you list the name of your partner organization here, and you answer according to this row. So name of your partner organization, number of full-time employees, number of full-time employees who are women, and so on and so forth, till you get to the end of the row, which also asks about your volunteers, whether they are paid, unpaid, or both. So in the instance of this question here, if one of your partner organizations has paid volunteers, then you would write paid. Let's say you go to the second row and you fill in the information for your second partner organization, and they do work with volunteers, but their volunteers are unpaid, then you would type in the appropriate response. At this point, it is important for me to mention that this form allows you to work with collaborators. So if you are applying for this round of funding as a group of organizations, you can provide access to this form to your partner organizations so that they will be able to fill in this information accurately by themselves. Secondly, we ask you to fill in this organizational information table for all the partner organizations in your consortium. And this one asks the same question about organizational capacity. So you'll put in the name of your organization And this is a series of yes/no questions or yes/no responses. The first one being, for this partner organization, do you have a manual accounting system? If the answer is yes, please type in yes. The second one is, do you have an automated digital accounting system? If the answer is no, please type in the appropriate response, and so on and so forth. So again, do this for all the partner organizations who are in your consortium. Again, we've asked you to briefly describe your partner organizations and their ongoing activities. Please interact or inform your partners to interact with this question in the same way that you had interacted with this question provided earlier. Your partner organizations should tell us who they are and what they do. We also ask that your partner organization briefly describes its geographical focus and target communities, i.e., please inform your partners that they should clearly demonstrate who they serve, where they serve, and how they serve them as a response to this question. The limit to both these questions is 1,000 characters. We've provided this amount of characters so that you're able to fully respond for all the partner organizations that you have in your consortium. So for instance, if you have 4 partner organizations or that you're working with, then here you would respond to this question per partner organization. So for instance, you would type in the name of your first partner organization and then semicolon and a response to that question. And then after, you would type in the name of your second partner organization, semicolon or colon, and then full response to the question. And third, and so on and so forth, till you exhaust all your partner organizations. In this section, if you have clearly demonstrated your HR and organizational capacity, i.e., if you've clearly demonstrated and responded to the questions that ask you to outline your employment capacity as an organization, and ask you to also list any gaps in your organizational capacity. And lastly, if you've also done the same for your partner organizations in the event that you're applying as a group of organizations, then you have completed the section and you're able to move on to the next section, which is the funding ask section. In the funding ask section, we aim to find out more about your needs, i.e. the funding ask and project information. Here, we will ask you how much funding you are applying for, and you're able to list in, or rather you're able to key in that amount and make sure that the amount you key in is in euros. So the instruction for this section is list the total amount you're applying for in euros. If you're working in your local currency, then we have provided a link here that allows you to convert your totals to euro. And lastly, we also provide in this description what some of the tiers of funding we are working with under the grant. Tier 1 allows you to apply for a fixed amount of up to 30,000 euros. Tier 2 may apply for any amount between 30,001 euros to 90,000 euros. Tier 3 may apply for any amount between 90,001 euros to 180,000 euros. If you'd like more information about the 3 tiers and who is eligible and how eligibility for the 3 tiers is considered, please click this link and you'll be taken to a page with more information on the tiers listed above. We also ask what were your cumulative revenues for the past 3 years. Again, we ask that you input the figure in euros. This question is specific to the lead applicant organization. So if you are applying as a consortium, do not key in a cumulative figure of all the consortium partners' revenues. Only input this revenue figure for the lead applicant organization. Again, the instructions are outlined below. Kindly fill in your answer in euros. And if you're working in your local currency, we have provided a link here that allows you to convert your local currency to euros. We also ask what your expenditure in cultural and creative industries has been for the last 3 years. Again, input your figure in euros. And again, this answer should only be given with regards to the lead applicant organization. If you are applying as a consortium, do not give this answer with regards to a consortium total, only answer with regards to your lead applicant organization. We also ask if you and your project partners will be making a financial contribution to the budget. If you click yes, there's a follow-up question which asks what percentage of the budget will you and your project partners contribute to the budget for this project. Please note, a contribution to the budget does not affect your application's eligibility. We also ask if your project is receiving any financing from any other sources. If you click yes, there's a follow-up question where we ask what percentage of your project budget is being covered by co-financing. And then we also ask what the title of the project for which you are seeking funding is. You can fill in the answer in the text box provided. We ask what the primary focus of your proposed project is. For more information on the 4 project focus areas, we have provided a link which you can access here, and it will give a more thorough and comprehensive breakdown of the 4 primary focus areas outlined as options for this question. If you select any project area of focus here, there'll be follow-up questions which seek to understand what the subsection or sub-focus of your project is. So for instance, if we select increasing the quality and or quantity of creative and cultural goods and services, we see here the follow-up question being, what is the subsection of your proposed project? And it can either be supporting an existing business, production support, or physical spaces. Please select the option that is most relevant to your project and your organizational needs for this funding cycle. We also ask if your project has any other areas of focus, please respond accordingly. And if your project does not have any other areas of focus, additional areas of focus, then we have provided this option. There are no other additional areas of focus that our project addresses. Now we want to gain a better understanding of the project which you are proposing. And for that, we have asked this question: briefly describe the project for which you are seeking funding. We have a limit of 500 words for this response. We have an instruction, and for this section, and much like every other section in the application form, please ensure strict adherence to the descriptions and the instructions provided under any question that has these descriptions or instructions. So for instance, in your answer, we ask that you demonstrate the location of project implementation, answer your country, your city, or locale. What need or gap is the proposed project responding to, i.e., why is the project important? Outline an estimated duration of project activities, that is, what activities will you run and how long will the whole project take? The role of digital technology, if any. How will your project interface with or develop digital platforms such as websites, social media, e-commerce, etc. in its implementation? What is the intended impact of the project on your organizational goals and development? That is, how does this project fit into or build upon your previous work? And lastly, a response to all of these requested information as you give an answer to this question. We also ask you to briefly describe the target beneficiaries of your project. Again, we have a limit of 500 words. We have an instruction, or rather a group of instructive questions for you to consider as you respond to this question. Where are your targeted beneficiaries located? Country, city, or locale? What is the age range of your target beneficiaries? What is the gender distribution of your target beneficiaries, i.e., how many women and or men do you aim to reach? List any marginalized groups represented in your target beneficiaries. How will you reach your target beneficiaries with information about this opportunity? How will your beneficiaries access this project? How will the beneficiaries benefit from this project? And how long will each beneficiary be involved in the program? Please make sure that your response to this question has responses to these 10 descriptions provided below. We also ask what areas this project will improve for your beneficiaries, and we have provided a list of options below. If you click other, there will be a text box provided that allows you to key in or input any other areas of improvement that we have not listed as an option above. We asked a similar question, but now how this project will improve your organization. If you're answering as, or if you're applying as an individual organization, of course, select the options that apply to you. And if you're applying as a group of organizations, select as many responses as apply to your consortium or your group of organizations. We ask if your organization has the relevant human resources or expertise for all the project activities detailed in this section. Here, if you have not demonstrated the capacity to deliver your project competently, please use this question to show how you will recruit the necessary skills for project delivery. So if you click yes, we will assume that in-house you have all the necessary skills to deliver this project. If you click no, you'll be provided with a text box that asks you to briefly describe the roles of new or additional staff in the project. And then we ask you to list your top 3 non-financial needs, which would build your organization's capacity. We've provided a text instruction below. These can include, but are not limited to, training and capacity building in different administrative departments, technical knowledge, archiving of existing data or files, and so on and so forth. In this section, if you have clearly demonstrated how much you want and what you want to do with it, what the title of your project is, what your areas of focus for your project are, and you have ensured strict adherence to the word count as well as the instructions provided for the questions listed, then you have successfully completed the section and you're ready to go to the last section of our application form. The last section of our application form allows you to upload your supporting documents, and here we will ask you to upload the 3 documents that you had been earlier briefed on in the introduction or the welcome section of this application form. Namely, you'll be asked to upload your company profile template. You'll also be asked to upload your proposed project budget, and lastly, you'll be asked to upload audited financial statements for 2017 and 2018. In this section, once you have uploaded all the requested documents in the requested formats, then you have successfully completed the section and you have reached the end of our application form. You can click on the Apply Now button to finish your application form, or you can hit Save Draft if you want to revisit the form at a later point and add any information that you may not have during your first round of application or your first application attempt. Please note that any question on the form in any section that has this red asterisk is a required question, and you will not be able to submit your form if you have not responded to any question with a red asterisk. Once you hit apply, your form will be sent into the system and the Ignite Culture team will communicate with you as regards to the next steps. Thank you so much for taking time to interact with this application video. Again, please make sure you ensure strict adherence to the information provided in this application video, as well as the instructions provided in the questions on the application form. This concludes our how to apply instructional video. Thank you for making the time to watch this video. We hope that the information provided will be useful as you apply for grant funding for Ignite Culture 2022. And if you ensure strict adherence to the instructions provided, then your application stands a very good chance of making it to the pitch stage. Thank you once again, and we wish you all the best as you apply.